The palace gates were wide open. That was the first strange thing. The guards were not sleeping. They were not drunk. They were not fighting. They were kneeling. And the king was standing barefoot in the palace courtyard, holding only one thing, a red coral bead necklace. It belonged to his favorite wife, and she was gone. No blood, no scream, no broken door, just silence. The morning sun was rising slowly over Lagos Island. The street lights were still on because NEPA light had taken its usual break. A keke napep passed outside the palace fence, playing loud Fuji music, like nothing was wrong. But inside that palace, something had broken. The king did not cry. He did not shout. He just kept looking at the necklace and whispering her name. Amarachi. That was her name. The woman everyone loved. The woman everyone envied. The woman who smiled like she had no enemies. But that morning, she disappeared, and nobody saw her leave. Now let me take you back a little, because this did not start that morning. It started long before that. It started with love and maybe pride. King Adeyemi. He was not an old village king with tribal marks and a talking drum. No, he was a modern king. He had Instagram. He had verified WhatsApp. He even posted motivational quotes every Monday morning. He ruled a busy part of Lagos, a place where people sold suya at night, where children played football on the street, where women fried akara by 6 a.m. He was loved, but people feared him too, because he was powerful and rich. But even rich men have soft spots. His soft spot was Amarachi. She was not his first wife. She was not the loudest, but she was the one he favored, and everybody knew it. Amarachi came from a simple family in Enugu. She did not grow up with palace luxury. She grew up eating gari and groundnut. She hawked chin-chin as a teenager. She even once drove a keke napep to help her uncle when business was slow. But she was smart, very smart, and very kind. When she married King Adeyemi, people said she was lucky, but they did not know the full story. The king did not marry her because she was the most beautiful. He married her because she made him laugh. She would tease him when he acted too serious. She would hide his royal cap just to see him search for it like a confused man. And the king would laugh like a boy. That was their secret. But secrets can create jealousy. And jealousy is a quiet fire. Aisha was not a wife. She was Amarachi's closest friend. Or so everyone thought. Aisha worked as Amarachi's personal assistant. She handled her charity projects. She posted her photos online. She replied to emails. She knew everything. But nobody suspected her. Why would they? She was quiet, soft-spoken, always smiling. Now listen carefully, because this is where things begin to shift. Amarachi had started something powerful in the community. She started a women's support group. It helped young women who felt small, women who were mocked by husbands, women who felt invisible. She would sit with them on plastic chairs, under a mango tree in the palace backyard. They talked about fear, about dreams, about self-worth. And she would tell them, "You are not small. Your voice matters." Simple words, but strong words. And people began to love her more. Some even loved her more than the king. And that is dangerous in a palace. Very dangerous. One night, something strange happened. Amarachi posted a message online. It said, "Sometimes the truth is heavy, but hiding it is heavier." That post went viral. Thousands of shares, thousands of comments. Even people outside Lagos were asking questions. What truth? What was she talking about? But she did not explain. She just smiled in the next photo. That smile. It looked normal, but Aisha noticed something. Amarachi was scared. Just a little. And she kept checking her phone. 2 days before she disappeared, Amarachi told Aisha something. Not in fear, not in anger, just calm. She said she had discovered something about the palace finances, something that did not look right. Large money transfers, hidden accounts, strange signatures. She said she needed to talk to the king, but first she needed proof. And only Aisha knew this. Only her. Now pause here. Think about that. Only one person knew. On the night before she vanished, the palace had a small celebration. Nothing big, just family dinner. Jollof rice, pepper soup, cold malt and soft music. The king was happy. He even tried to dance shaku shaku. It was embarrassing, but Amarachi laughed. A real laugh. Not fake, not forced. If you saw them that night, you would never think something bad was coming. Never. But sometimes, the happiest night comes before the darkest morning. At 2:17 a.m., the palace CCTV cameras went off. Not all, just the ones near Amarachi's wing. No alarm, no shouting, just darkness. By 4:30 a.m., the cameras came back, but her room was empty. Her phone was on the table, her slippers were beside the bed, her car was still parked. She did not park, she did not run, she disappeared like smoke. When the king found out, he did not believe it. He checked everywhere, bathroom, garden, storage room, even the generator house. Nothing. Only that red coral bead necklace on the courtyard floor. And nobody knew how it got there. The guards swore they saw nothing. The maids cried. Aisha fainted. Or maybe she acted. Nobody knew. Now, here is the question that shook the whole community. Did she run away? Was she kidnapped? Or did someone inside the palace silence her? Because remember, she found something about money, something about hidden accounts, something heavy. And heavy truths can make powerful men afraid, even kings. Halfway reminder. If this story is pulling you in, if you want more powerful African stories that touch the heart and open the mind, please like this video and subscribe to Mejibe Africa Folktales. We tell stories that make you think, stories that lift your mood, stories that remind you who you are. Now, let's continue. After her disappearance, rumors exploded like fireworks on WhatsApp groups, on Instagram blogs, even on radio talk shows. Some said she ran away with a lover. Some said she joined a secret prayer group. Some said it was spiritual. You know Nigerians, we can turn anything into spiritual matter. But the truth was quieter and more painful. King Adeyemi locked himself inside his study for 2 days. No food, no calls, no social media posts. That alone scared people because the king loved attention, but now he was silent. And silence from a loud man is dangerous. Meanwhile, Aisha was moving around the palace, too calm, too helpful. She handled press statements, she answered reporters, she comforted the maids. But at night, she deleted something from her phone and she cried. Not loud, just small tears. Because secrets are heavy and she was carrying one. But here is something nobody expected. Amarachi had planned something before she vanished. She had written a message, not on paper, not on phone, but hidden inside something small, something nobody thought was important. And that message would change everything. But nobody had found it yet. Not the king, not Aisha, not the guards, not even the gossiping neighbors. It was still waiting, silent, like a ticking clock. And somewhere in Lagos, under a street light that flickered because NEPA was playing games again, a woman who looked exactly like Amarachi walked past a suya stand. Her hair was covered, her face was calm, and she was not alone. But you will understand that part later. For now, the palace is still searching, the king is still broken, and the favorite wife is still missing. But this story is not about disappearance alone. It is about courage, about truth, about what happens when a woman decides she is not small anymore, and what powerful men do when they feel exposed. Under that weak yellow light, the woman who looked like Amarachi adjusted her scarf. Her steps were calm, not rushed, not afraid, calm. She passed a suya stand. The man there did not look twice. Why would he? In Lagos, everybody is minding their business. But if you looked closely, very closely, you would see the red coral beads bracelet on her wrist. The same beads the king loved so much. The same beads from the necklace found in the palace courtyard. But how? The necklace was broken. The beads were scattered. So how did she still have some? Hold that thought. Back at the palace, King Adeyemi finally came out of his study. His eyes were red, not from crying, from thinking. Too much thinking. He called Aisha. He did not shout. He did not accuse. He just asked one question. What did she tell you? Simple question, but heavy. Aisha froze, only for 1 second, but the king noticed. She said Amarachi was worried about the women's charity program. She said nothing about finances, nothing about hidden accounts. She lied, softly. And the king stared at her longer than usual, because he knew his wife, and he knew when she was planning something. Amarachi never disappeared without leaving a sign. Never. Now, let me tell you something about Amarachi. She was kind, but she was not foolish. When she discovered the strange money transfers, she did not panic. She did not scream. She started investigating quietly. She used her access to palace records. She asked simple questions. She checked dates. She matched signatures. And what she found was bigger than small corruption. It was money moving into private accounts. Money meant for community development. Money meant for schools, for hospital equipment, for widows. Gone. And the signature approving those transfers carried the king's name. But the writing looked different. Subtle, but different. Like someone copied it. And only one person had access to that system besides the king. Aisha. 2 weeks before Amarachi disappeared, Amarachi tested something. She told Aisha about a fake document, a made-up account. She wanted to see if it would move, if the money would disappear. 3 days later, it did. Money transferred, just like that, to an offshore account. And only 2 people knew about that test, Amarachi and Aisha. Now, pause here. Feel the weight of that. That night, the woman who looked like Amarachi entered a small apartment in Surulere. Simple place. Generator humming outside. Neighbors arguing over water bill. Somebody frying plantain upstairs. Normal Lagos life. Inside that apartment, she removed her scarf. Yes, it was Amarachi. Alive, breathing, but not smiling. And sitting in that room with her was a laptop and files and copies of bank transfers. She had not been kidnapped. She had not run away with a lover. She had staged her own disappearance, and she did it because she needed time. Time to gather proof, time to protect herself. Because when powerful money is involved, people vanish for real, not pretend. But she did not expect one thing. The king did not know. She thought he was part of it. She believed the signatures were his. She believed he betrayed the people, and that hurt her more than anything because she loved him and she trusted him. But the evidence was loud, so she left without telling him, only leaving the broken necklace as a sign, a message. If he was innocent, he would understand. If he was guilty, he would panic, and panic would expose him. Smart woman, very smart. Meanwhile, in the palace, something changed. The king ordered a full internal audit, quietly. No press, no noise. He brought in an external financial expert from Abuja, not connected to palace staff, not connected to Aisha. He did not accuse anyone. He just watched, and he waited. And Aisha began to sweat. Not outside, inside. Because the king did something unexpected. He announced publicly that Amarachi had access to all financial records. He said she trusted him fully and that she believed in transparency. He praised her, called her his voice of conscience, and Aisha's face tightened because that was not the reaction of a guilty man. That was the reaction of someone confused or someone clean. Now the doubt entered her mind. Maybe the king did not know. Maybe someone else was watching her too. Because Aisha was not acting alone. No. There was another layer. But we will come to that soon. Back in Surulere, Amarachi received a message. Unknown number. It said, "Stop digging, or next time you won't disappear safely." Her heart dropped. So they knew she was alive, which meant someone inside the palace was tracking her, and only one person knew the fake account test details, Aisha. But Aisha did not know Amarachi was alive, or did she? Let me tell you something about jealousy. It does not start loud, it starts small. Aisha had always admired Amarachi, but slowly, admiration turned into comparison. Comparison turned into resentment. Resentment turned into quiet anger because Aisha did most of the work. She handled projects, she organized events, she wrote speeches, but Amarachi got the praise, the spotlight, the love, and the king's attention. And when Aisha discovered how easy it was to move money unnoticed, it started a small experiment. Just once, just a little amount, to see if the system had gaps. And when nobody noticed, she continued. But she did not enjoy the money alone. She had someone guiding her, someone outside the palace, a financial consultant, smooth talker, sharp dresser, big promises. He convinced her it was harmless. He said rich people never lose. He said community money was recycled funds. Big grammar to hide theft. But theft is theft, no matter how sweet you package it. And now the system was shaking because Amarachi was smarter than they thought. And the king was not as blind as they hoped. The external auditor discovered something, not foolproof, but a pattern. Transactions approved during times the king was abroad, meaning someone used his digital signature remotely, someone with inside access. The king called Aisha again. This time his tone was different. Not soft, not loud, controlled. He asked her to bring her laptop. Her hands trembled slightly, but she smiled. Always smiling, too much smiling. Back in Surulere, Amarachi watched the news. The king announced a public investigation. Open, transparent. He said no one was above the law, even palace staff. And for the first time since she left, she felt something unexpected. Relief. Maybe he was innocent. Maybe she had judged him too quickly. But then another message entered her phone. Your friend will fall, but you will fall too. Chills. Because that meant this was bigger than Aisha. Much bigger. See, the financial consultant was not just a greedy man. He was connected to powerful business circles. And if the palace scandal broke publicly, many hidden deals would collapse. Many secrets would rise. And powerful men do not like exposure. So they had two options. Silence Aisha or silence Amarachi. And if Amarachi returned publicly now, she would be in danger. Real danger. Not rumor danger. Not gossip danger. Real life. So she made a choice. Instead of hiding quietly, she decided to finish what she started. She began recording everything. Video logs, bank proofs, names, dates. She even recorded a message explaining why she left. If anything happened to her, the evidence would be released automatically. Smart. Very smart. But dangerous. Because she was playing chess with people who owned the board. Meanwhile, in the palace, Aisha realized something terrifying. The financial consultant had stopped replying her calls. His office was closed. His WhatsApp profile picture disappeared. He had vanished, leaving her alone. And she understood the truth too late. She was the easy sacrifice, the inside access, the one they could blame. And if Amarachi returned with proof, Aisha would go down alone. And maybe worse, because secrets at that level do not end in court. Sometimes they end in silence. Permanent silence. That night, Aisha did not sleep. She sat on her bed, looking at her phone, scrolling through old photos. Photos of her and Amarachi laughing during charity events. Photos of them eating poof-poof together in the palace kitchen. Photos from small moments. And something inside her cracked. Because deep down, she did not hate Amarachi. She envied her. And envy can blind good people. But it does not mean they are evil. It means they are insecure. And insecurity can destroy everything. And then, something unexpected happened. Amarachi sent her a message. One word. Meet. No threat. No accusation. Just one word. And Aisha's heart almost stopped. Because that meant she was alive. And she knew. The message said only one word. Meet. No emoji. No anger. No explanation. Just that. Aisha stared at her phone for a long time. Her heart was beating fast. Not because she was shocked Amarachi was alive. Deep down, she always suspected. It was the kind of move Amarachi would make. Smart. Quiet. Bold. But this time, there was no hiding. No more smiling too much. No more pretending. The meeting location came 5 minutes later. National Theatre parking lot. 8 p.m. Come alone. That night, Lagos was loud as usual. Downfall buses shouting for passengers, street hawkers selling gala and pure water, someone blasting Afrobeats from a nearby bar. Life was normal. But inside Aisha, nothing was normal. She arrived early. She stood under a tall street light. Then she saw her, walking calmly from the shadow. Amarachi, alive, breathing, stronger than before. For a moment, they just looked at each other. No shouting, no hugging, just silence. Heavy silence. Amarachi spoke first. Her voice was calm,
Not angry, not emotional, just steady. She told Aisha she knew about the transfers. She knew about the test account. She knew about the consultant. And she knew Aisha did not act alone. Aisha did not deny it because there was no point. The evidence was too clear. Instead, she did something unexpected. She cried. Not dramatic crying, not loud, just quiet tears. And she said something simple. I felt invisible. That was it. You see, this story is not only about money. It is about self-worth. It is about how someone can sit beside greatness and still feel small. Aisha said she worked day and night. She planned the charity programs. She built the online presence. She wrote Amarachi speeches. But when praise came, it passed her. People saw Amarachi, not her. And slowly, comparison became poison. Poison that whispered, you deserve more. You are smarter. You are better. And when the consultant showed her how to move money quietly, it felt like control, like power, like she finally mattered. But power built on wrong things always shakes, always. Amarachi listened. She did not interrupt. She did not insult. She did not raise her voice. And that made Aisha cry even more, because kindness in the middle of guilt feels heavier than anger. Amarachi told her something powerful. She said, you are never invisible to me. She said she always planned to make Aisha co-lead the foundation officially. She even had documents prepared, but she wanted to surprise her during the next public event. And Aisha froze, because all the insecurity, all the stealing, all the fear came from a lie her mind created, not from reality. But there was still danger, because the consultant and his partners were not gone. They were hiding, and they knew Amarachi was alive. That was the real problem now. Amarachi explained her plan. She had all the evidence saved in multiple places. Cloud storage, hard drives, even sent to a trusted lawyer. If anything happened to her, everything would go public. She did not want revenge. She wanted truth, and she wanted the community money returned. That was all. Simple, but powerful. Aisha made a decision that night. A brave one. She agreed to testify, to expose the consultant, to admit her own role, to return the money she could. She knew she would face consequences, public shame, court case, social media dragging. You know Nigerians online, they don't forgive easily. But she chose courage over hiding, because hiding had already destroyed her peace. Now here is where things shift again. Before they could leave that parking lot, 2 black SUVs drove in slowly. Too slowly. Windows tinted, engines running. Amarachi and Aisha looked at each other. No panic, just understanding. The consultant had sent people. Maybe to scare them, maybe worse. But remember, Amarachi planned ahead. She pressed one button on her phone, just one, and across Lagos, an email was scheduled to send automatically, with attachments, with names, with account numbers, to journalists, to bloggers, to anti-corruption agencies, to the king. Yes, even to the king. Because at this point, she knew he was innocent. The signatures were forged, and she wanted him to see everything. Transparency. Full. The SUV doors opened slightly. Men stepped out. Not with weapons, but with warning. They told Amarachi quietly to stop digging, to leave the matter alone. They promised safety, money, protection. They spoke softly, but their eyes were cold. And Amarachi smiled. Not mocking, not afraid, just calm. She said,
It's already sent. 3 words. And for the first time, those men looked unsure. Because when truth is released, you cannot chase it back. You cannot bribe it. You cannot delete it. It spreads like wildfire.
The men left fast. The SUVs drove away, and Lagos continued its normal noise, as if nothing almost happened. But something big had already started. By morning, the story exploded. Blogs were posting documents, radio stations were discussing palace fraud, news channels were calling emergency panels, the consultant's name trended, the bank accounts were exposed, and most importantly, the king saw everything. Every transfer, every forged signature, every hidden move. And when he saw the date Amarachi ran the fake test account, he understood. She was testing the system, not him. He sat down quietly, and for the first time since she vanished, he smiled, because his wife was braver than he knew. 2 days later, Amarachi returned to the palace publicly, not as a victim, not as a runaway wife, but as a woman who stood for truth. The community gathered outside, phones recording, people shouting her name. She walked through the gate slowly, and King Adeyemi met her halfway. No speech, no drama. He just held her hand. And this time, nobody envied her. They respected her, because courage is louder than beauty. Always. Aisha turned herself in. She did not run. She confessed. She returned part of the funds. She cooperated with investigators. The court case was not easy. The shame was heavy. But something inside her felt lighter. Because truth may hurt, but lies suffocate. And she chose to breathe. Months later, the foundation reopened. But this time, it had full transparency. Public financial records, independent oversight, community meetings streamed live, no hidden accounts, no secret signatures. And Amarachi made one powerful announcement. She created a mentorship program for young women who feel invisible, who feel small, who compare themselves every day. She told them, "You are not small. You are not invisible. Comparison is a thief." And people listened. Not because she was the king's favorite wife, but because she almost lost everything to protect truth. And what about the king? He changed too. He learned something. Power without accountability is weak. He stopped chasing praise online. He posted less motivational quotes. He listened more. He involved more voices. Because leadership is not control, it is responsibility. Now, think back to that first scene. The broken necklace in the courtyard, the silent king, the kneeling guards. It looked like loss, like tragedy, but it was actually transformation. Sometimes, something must break for truth to come out. Sometimes, disappearance is not escape, it is strategy. And sometimes the favorite wife is not just loved for beauty, but for bravery. If this story touched you, if it reminded you of your worth, if it made you think about jealousy, courage, or truth, please like this video and subscribe to Mejibe Africa Folktales. This is where African stories come alive, where we laugh together, where we learn together, where we heal together. Because storytelling is not just entertainment, it is medicine for the heart. And remember this, no matter where you are, no matter who shines beside you, you are not invisible. Your voice matters. And when truth is on your side, even kings will listen.